Okay, so we're going to have a look at tone in this video. Now, tone to a linguist is generally, we use that term to refer to contrastive tone or lexical tone, and that's when the pattern of fundamental frequency of pitch over a syllable is used to encode lexical differences. So you can change the pitch pattern to convey a different word entirely. Lots of languages around the world are tone languages. There's two main types of tone languages. There's register tone languages and contour tone languages. A register tone language is one that just distinguishes syllables based on the overall level of pitch in the syllable. A contour tone language, it's not just the level, but maybe movement of the pitch within the syllable that can be contrasted as well. And there's actually a variety of ways to transcribe this depending on what your purpose is, how you prefer approaching it. So let's have a look at those. Here is one standard way of representing uh, three register tones, three level tones. So the first one, we have a low tone indicated with grave accent or an accent sort of leaning down. A mid tone with a level accent. And high tone with an acute accent pointing up. Ah, 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 ah. Now, one thing that always bugs me about this is that these diacritics, this first one looks like it's traveling downwards. So you might almost expect it to mean a falling tone, but it doesn't. It just means a low tone. And likewise, the high looks like it's moving upwards. So don't be confused by that. Do remember that. And that'll come in when we start looking at contour tones in a minute. A second way that we can represent tones is with these glyphs or sort of uh, these indexical markers. So you have a vertical line with something leading into it. This one is a level line leading into it at the bottom, so a low level tone. This one, the line leading into it is in the middle, so that's a mid tone, and on the right, it's at the top, so that's a high tone. Ah, ah, ah. And the final way, which isn't part of the official IPA, but it is something that I see more commonly in literature, is numbers. And generally we use a 5-point scale. So 1 is the lowest, 5 is the highest. So a low tone is just whatever vowel with the numeral 1, mid tone, use numeral 3, high tone, the number 5. Okay, and now with contour tones, so here's a rising tone. And notice it has the downtick, the grave element, which indicates a low tone, followed by the acute element, which indicates a high tone. So low to high is rising. High to low is falling. Low to high to low, rising and then falling. So that's, sometimes we can get quite complex contour tones. If we use the glyphs, rising, this line leading into the vertical line is sloped up. For falling, it slopes down, and for rising and falling, it rises and falls, of course. So you can see how it's actually depicting what we would expect to see, for example, on a pitch track in an instrumental measurement of this phenomenon. And with the numbers, we just string the numbers together. So if you're rising from the bottom to the top, that's a 1, then a 5. Top to the bottom, 5, then a 1. And here's sort of mid, up, and then down, rising and falling, 3, 5, 3, as an example. Okay, so that's how we transcribe tone on syllables, and usually those glyphs and numbers, if that's what you're using, go at the end of the syllable that they're referring to. It's worth putting a little bit of time into thinking about tonogenesis. It's mentioned in the textbook. This isn't a course on historical, like language change, phonetic language change, but it doesn't hurt to think of the fact that different sounds, different consonants next to a vowel will affect its pitch in different ways. And these are ways that are perceptible, that are audible if you're paying attention. And so sometimes those effects on the pitch can be retained, even if over the course of time, maybe the consonants that condition that change disappear. And so all you have left is a change in pitch. And this is one of the ways that languages can pick up a tone contrast as opposed to just, pitch differences as a side effect of other things. Um, anyway, there we have it. The distinction between register and contour tones, the overall idea of tones, and some ways to transcribe it. That's it for this video. Next up, we get intonation.